Now, listen up.
3, 2, 1.
It's showtime.
That's great. This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth. Right now.
Ooh.
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it.
Hit it.
It's time for Mac's World. And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started in here.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody. Showtime.
Exclusively on 99.3 The Truth.
It's 7 minutes after 3 o'clock on the 16th day of August in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy. Welcome to 2 hours that are going to be fast and they're going to rock. This is not your grandmother's Christian talk station today. We are taking it on head first. Yesterday, if you listened to the first hour, you know that we got into a very, what would you call that, Frank? It was a good conversation.
Racially fiery conversation.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That would be one way of putting it. When our friend Steven Seagal, not the actor, called in and took
exception
with what you were saying, because you just about stepped in it.
No, I did.
Yes, you did. You just about stepped in it, but that's all right. I'm going to write you up with a pink sheet. One more and you're out of here. All right. So I ran into a friend of mine, Shad Clayton, who is an African-American, who is conservative, who loves Jesus. And what he poured out to me this morning, sitting at the car dealership where he works, Stu Hansen, about how he feels about the Black Lives Matter movement. And I could have taken notes. I could have come in and told you what he said, but I've asked him to come in and tell you himself. So he's going to be here for the next hour. In the second hour, Democratic, I don't know, what do you want to call him? He's a head of the Democrats in the Polk County. Tom Henderson and Tom Coates are going to go at it. I mean, they're going to have a conversation. So
they're going to go at it.
Shad, welcome.
Thank you.
First time on the radio?
Not first time. Been on radio a couple times before.
Have you?
Yep.
Talking anything but cars or sports?
No. Actually, once with you a long time ago. I don't know if you remember. On your
called
old show.
in?
Yep. Called it. No. Was in studio. One time.
Yeah.
Yep.
You reminded me of that the other day.
Yep.
All right. So, and Chris Roloff is here because Bob Monster at the Cat in the Hat is not back from vacation yet. Or, no, he's not on vacation. He's at a conference, right?
Training.
For what?
DMORT.
Oh, DMORT. All right. So Chris is monitoring the Service Legends Truth text line at 515-809-0993, and you can text us your thoughts and comments. Also, Jebediah manning the voice line. It is your voice I want to hear at 515-244-0077. You're pointing like you've already got a text?
No, I'm just saying that, hey, if you're bored, just send me a text and say hi. I'll respond. We can chat.
This isn't for chatting.
It's not.
This isn't for you and your board game people or your Calvinists. This is a radio program.
I just met him, but it doesn't look like he has that many friends. I don't think the board's going to light up that much.
It's true.
Oh, man.
It's true.
He's here. Shh, come here. He's a board game fanatic.
Oh.
I mean, like serious. Like he went to the board game players convention. He's like a Trekkie with normal ears.
Wow.
Okay?
Hey, I like Star Trek. Hold on. Okay, let's move.
I like Star Trek too, but I don't wear Spock's ears. All right. Because they named that doctor after me. Bones McCoy. They named him after me. Okay. So, take it away.
Take it away.
What do you think of the Black Lives Matter movement?
Well, I mean, it's, in itself, that's a loaded question, obviously. I think that, personally, that it was started with the best of intentions, obviously, but has obviously been hijacked. It's been used. It's been, for better lack of the word, I don't know if I can say this on the air, but pimped by certain political groups. I think black people as a whole are being used by certain political candidates, and it's very frustrating to see, and it's disheartening to see, basically the last 50, 60 years of progress being eroded by what boils down to ignorance, and not ignorance like, calling anybody stupid, but just a complete lack of facts, lack of knowledge of the facts. And it's hurtful and very divisive. And if we don't get a handle on it, and if people are afraid to step up and speak truth because they're worried about what's going to be said or done, that's where we get to a place that's very, very dark.
All right, a couple of technical points here for just a second. The chat needs reset. That's according to Jill. I don't know what that means, but I'm just telling you what she says.
Nuki.
All right.
I already got texts. Yeah.
Chat.
No, I got texts. I have friends, just so you know.
Okay.
One.
Yeah, go ahead and read me a text from your friend.
It says, hi, Chris, I'm bored.
Says, hi, son, come home on time.
Your dinner will be waiting.
All right, let's get a little background. Where were you born and raised?
I was born in Boston, Massachusetts, but raised in Keokuk, Iowa, of all places.
Wow. You really went downhill on that move, didn't you?
We went, yeah.
All right. How many black people were in Keokuk when you were being raised?
Actually, I would say a surprising, maybe 25%.
Okay. So did you yourself, were you a victim of racism in Keokuk?
I wouldn't say I was a victim of, no. I mean, there were certain circumstances where, somebody maybe treated me different because of race, but overall, no. I mean, I came from a very large family, a prestigious family. My mother was the oldest of 12 kids. So my grandparents raised, a big family. Everybody knew them and respected them. My grandfather was a man of integrity and honor and worked hard. And so that meant a lot to us growing up. We never wanted to ruin that name. We always wanted to do the right thing.
Okay. And you told me earlier, I think, that you have 4 brothers?
3 brothers.
Three brothers.
One brother's passed away. I have 2 living brothers.
Okay, and you guys all served in the military?
Correct.
Thank you for serving.
Thank you.
Did your other brother pass away in the military?
No, not in the military. After he had some health issues. And
okay,
so.
Sorry to hear that.
No, yep.
All right, so when was do you remember the first time that someone victimized you? I shouldn't say you felt like a victim.
Yep.
I want to say somebody tried to victimize you through race.
Yes, I do, actually. And it was first grade.
Okay.
By my teacher.
A white teacher.
Yes. And I don't know, like today, it's very funny because I think I had the idea of being the first black president before Barack Obama.
Okay.
So this is what happened. And I didn't understand. My mom got upset. I didn't understand what was going on until I got older. So they were having a career day. You were supposed to come dressed up as, whatever you wanted to be when you grew up. So this is first grade. So, other people came with their little firefighter outfits, police costumes, whatever. And I came in a suit and tie and, they were going down, and so what are you? I was like, I'm the president. And she's like, of what? I'm like, of the United States. I'm going to be president of the United States. And she goes, well, okay, now we need to pick something that's realistic. That's what on everything. Yeah. And
what year was that?
This was, first grade. Man, now you're going to make me date me?
Well,
you're going to date myself?
You don't have to.
Okay.
But it wasn't.
No, let's see, first grade would have been 83?
1990?
83, 1990. You're so sweet.
All right, so 1983.
Yep.
All right. And what was on TV? What was your exposure watching other people deal with racism?
See, and that was the thing. When I was growing up, we didn't watch a lot of TV.
Okay.
We had our social media was outside.
Right.
And so when we did watch TV, typically my growing up was a little bit different, and I'm maybe blessed for it, because when I watched TV, it was one of 3 things. Either A, the news. So me, Tom Brokaw, and Dan Rather, we were best friends.
Okay.
Because that's what my mom let me watch, the news. So I was always up on current events. I watched news, I watched sports. And that's pretty much it. We didn't watch a lot of shows. My mom didn't believe in just sitting in front, the TV. So.
You made the comment earlier that you remember a episode of The Jeffersons,
right?
When Archie Bunker came on, and George and Archie got into
They were going at it.
And you said that if that show aired today,
there would be hundreds of millions of dollars worth of lawsuits. I mean, every racial. Anything that had a racial overtone that you can think of was ensued in their interaction, and it was hilarious. But what people have to understand was it was funny back then because there was some truth to it.
Is it something we could play the audio on the air?
You could. There's no cursing or anything like that.
There's no N-word or anything?
No.
Jebediah, Google Archie Bunker and George Jefferson. No, not George. Yeah,
George Jefferson. Yep.
Together.
Yep, and it's when, and here's what it is too. And the nice thing about this show is they were light years ahead trying to bring social issues up. It was when Jefferson's black son was marrying the white can't remember which one it was, but the daughter, the mom and dad of the girl being married, the dad was white and the mom was black.
Oh, that was that couple.
Wasn't
Yeah.
it because Lionel was dating somebody?
Well, no. So, if I remember right, it was the mom and the dad of who Lionel was marrying. Right.
Okay.
So the mother and father of the bride, the mother was black and the father was white.
Right.
So she
Right.
was a mixed girl that he was marrying.
that was their friend. Wasn't that their friend? No, I'm thinking of somebody else.
No. That's and I know what you're talking about, but that's not it.
Because
So
didn't
now,
they have a couple that were friends and she was black and he was white?
yeah, they did, but that's not who these people
Okay,
are.
all right,
Yep,
all
that's
right.
not. So these people now, Archie Bunker was invited by I think the groom's father.
Right.
And he obviously didn't know that the guy's wife was white, and the look on his face, it's just the most unbelievable. It's so hilarious. But I'm just going to tell you, if you got thin skin, you're going to be offended. But remember, this was in the 70s when this aired.
Yeah.
So the producers back then obviously thought it was okay.
Let me tell you my quick story about first grade. We would be 1963.
19? Are you sure?
Yeah, 1963.
I think it's 18.
Okay,
I
that's
think
what I'm
he's
thinking.
mixed up.
First grade, I had two friends. It was a black kid and a white kid. And my
This is like
grandparents.
the beginning of a bad joke. But go ahead.
My grandparents lived in the Southeast Bottoms, and I saw this kid, and he was walking with some older kids. It was probably, if I was 6, they must have been like 8 to 10. So he would have been like a little brother type something. And I yelled at this kid like, hey, running towards him like, wanted to talk to him, because it was like a Saturday, and we was out of school, obviously. We went to a Christian church school. And the older kid's like, well, you can't talk to him. He's white. This is 1963. So
A black kid said that to you?
No, the other white
the other
kids
black
said-
kids.
Oh.
No, the other black kids. It was with
told the other black kid that he couldn't talk to you
couldn't
because you're
me
white.
I was
Yeah.
white.
All right, let's take a break. See how fast this goes.
Yeah.
So when we come back, I want you to kind of tell me some of your frustrations.
Okay,
All right,
absolutely.
and I'll try to walk you down the path. All right, we're live here this afternoon. It's Max World Live like you've never seen it before. Yep.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
21 minutes after 3 o'clock, 3:21 in the afternoon. I don't know if I told you the other day, but Seth Walker, my real estate agent, had a bad accident. And I'm not really sure exactly what happened, but I think he's in a cast from the tip of his toes to his hip. I'm not kidding you. So today I'd like you to call Seth or text Seth and say, hey, get well soon. We love you. Jesus loves you. What'd you do to your big toe? Whatever you want to do. But he got home from the hospital on... What day was that? I think it was Sunday. Maybe it was Saturday. And here's a guy that's used to running around, looking at houses and doing all this work, and he's at home with a cast from the end of his toes to his thighs. Now, he's still out there working hard because we're working on about 3 properties right now. So you can still call him and you can still ask him to, list your house or find you a house. He has valuable team members. His broker is Rob Spearman, who is just simply one of the best guys in the world. But I'd like you to text Seth at 577-3728. 577-3728. I know, I said it too fast. Hold on. I'll slow down. Get your pencil and paper or get your phone out. Yes, it's 515-577-3728. Let's throw a little brotherly and sisterly love for our dude here, Seth Walker with RE/MAX Real Estate Concepts.
I just texted him, Mac, and said, sorry to hear about your leg. Hope you get well soon. And he's already responded, thank you. That's how quick he is to responding.
Does he know who you are?
He doesn't know who I am.
He doesn't know who you are.
Yeah, he does.
How does he know who you are?
Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind. I'll just go back to my hole.
Okay. I told you we have fun on this show.
This is a blast.
All right. If you're just tuning in, put your seatbelt on. No, I don't care if you're sitting at home. Put your seatbelt on. Remember the conversation we got into yesterday about Black Lives Matter? And Frank got a little on the racist side? And Steven called up and chased him out and set him straight? Well, I ran into a buddy of mine who's conservative, professional, Christian, and he's black. His name is Shad, S-H-A-D, and he just popped off at me when I started talking to him about the Black Lives Matter thing. And so I asked him to come in today, and he's on our show. Yes, Mr. Thomas.
Well, thank you, Mr. McCoy. Yesterday, I made the point. It's hard to take the racism charges seriously because it's like the boy who cried wolf. And the boy that cried wolf cried it too much. So when real times when racism does exist, it gets ignored. So explain to me how
right.
A black officer shooting a black assailant who they went to school with each other, they were apparently about the same grade, so they were both about the same age. How is that racism?
Let me back up a second, because you've got to understand where this false narrative starts, and it starts from your political establishment. That's
Agreed.
just the truth. So here's what I mean by that. And a lot of people are probably like, what's he talking about? What I'm talking about is, and not just the political establishment, your media, your political establishment, those who I would say profit or gain from this type of divisive talk and misconception and the shell games. Because where we've gotten to in a place in our society today is the minute that you say something that is against what somebody of color believes or says, or you're viewed to be against their best interest, you're racist. Okay, and that's just absolutely crazy. We've got to get away from people not being able to speak their mind. This country was founded on the bedrock principle of freedom of speech. And the minute that you start capping that, we are going down a dark road.
Right.
Okay, so that's the first point that I would like everybody to keep in mind as I'm going through how I'm about to explain this, because that's where this comes from, because people profit from it. If you don't think that's true, take a look at Hillary Clinton. And I'm not here to take one side or the other, Trump or Clinton. I'm just here to give you facts and common sense that she marched a woman on stage whose son was proven by the Department of Justice to be in the wrong, a criminal that attacked a police officer inside his police car. There were 3 rounds fired, gunshot residue on the index finger and powder burns on his thumb. So he was fighting the cop for his gun in the car. So this was proven by the Department of Justice, ran by a black attorney general, appointed by a black president. But this woman's marched on stage as a martyr.
Right.
Where are we at? Where is our honor? Black Lives Matter. Seriously, if you're supporting Black Lives, well, then where is your honor to stand up and say, no, wait a minute, that part's not right. Where's your integrity? I don't think Martin Luther King would have stood for that. No. I don't.
Well,
hold on just a second. I want more emotion than that.
Yeah. And so,
well, I mean, how did it make you feel?
Oh, it absolutely infuriated me. I spent my entire childhood growing up with a narrative being not forced down my throat, but bred into me that, hey, you become a man of your word. You know, you do what you say you're going to do, and you stand for what's right. And a man that stands for nothing will fall for anything. These are the principles that, you know, the great men in my life instilled in me. And when I watch this, it makes me sick to my stomach to think that we're living a lie and we're using false narratives to try to profit and get ahead. That's not how it's supposed to be. Okay. It's not.
All right. Go ahead, Frank. Oh, sorry.
We just got one text, Service Legends Truth text line at 515-809-0993 that just said, Amen, Shad. So
all right,
throw that in there.
All right, go ahead, Frank.
You mentioned it, and I'll mention it because you mentioned it. The race merchants, the guys like Al Sharpton, guys like Jesse Jackson, they fly in these high-profile cases. They stir the waters, and then when the rioting starts and the looting starts, they're gone.
Yeah, because here's the thing: there's no profit in truth. We've gotten to a place in our society today that it only matters how you look, not what the truth is. It only matters what the perception is. You see, and that's the problem. We're living a lie on so many different levels. We're living a lie if, as black people, we're not going to sit here and take account the fact that we're talking about Black Lives Matter. Okay, well, if Black Lives Matter to our politicians, how come our inner city schools that are predominantly black are falling apart? Right. How come there's no jobs in those inner cities? How come that you are 74% less likely to graduate as a black teen in the inner city than you are as a white teen? Why is that? We are not addressing the problems that cause us to do things of desperation. If you're desperate, desperate times call for desperate measures, and that's what's going on. People that are committing crimes and doing these things, why are they doing it? That's the question that needs to be answered.
What was the line that you said earlier this afternoon? Something about, I don't remember. Maybe.
Well, I was going to say, Dr. Martin Luther King said, "Riot is the language of the unheard."
That's the one I
shared that yesterday.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that we miss often in this is that there are still real problems, and maybe
but they're not on the level that are being portrayed. You would think that we're living in 1963 again. Let me tell you something. I grew up in a town, like I told you, in an area like there were more black people in Keokuk than there probably were in most small towns, but it was still the middle of the country. It's still, white America, if you want to say, all right? So I grew up in the 80s, right, in a town that was predominantly white. Law enforcement was white. I used to go across the bridge to Missouri, which is known for being a little bit redneckish, okay, in these small towns. I've been caught when I was a kid, not for a long time, just let's clarify that. In high school and junior high, we used to go out drinking, driving country roads, not having a driver's license, all this stupid stuff. I've been pulled over by cops that look like Barney Fife in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night. Never once was I beat. Never once was I, handled unfairly, because when I got pulled, we were drinking. No, I don't have a license. I'm so okay. Here, call somebody to come get you. Give me your beer. Go home. I don't want to see you again. I treated them with respect. I was taught that way. I never once had an issue.
So let me ask this. There's a lot of people coming on painting this narrative that mothers have to teach, and I think it cuts across color, but mothers have to teach their black boys in general to be polite or to do whatever to keep from being shot by.
Let me stop you there on another point too. Another thing that is overlooked. You said mothers. Nope, fathers. The absent father in the black home is a huge problem that we as black people have to face.
Right.
That 68% of black youth grow up without 68%.
Right.
That is huge. You know, I grew up without my father. Now, God bless him. I had a great grandfather and uncles and older brothers that were there for me and kept me in line. They didn't mess around, right? They're pretty strict. But not everybody has that support system. And there's something to be said. There's a direct correlation when, okay, you got 68% of black youth today growing up without a father in the home, and yet, what is it? 55% of all the violent crime is perpetrated by black males. 55% done by 6% of the population.
Did you hear Sheriff David Clark speak the last couple of nights eloquently on those statistics about the 70%?
Yep.
And they're headed for jail. They're and we have to deal with them as police officers out here in the community.
What people have to understand is every single time that something happens between an individual and a police officer, the cop's not always wrong. Are there cops out there that abuse their power? Absolutely. And that needs to be dealt with on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
These people in Milwaukee, I apologize if I'm offending anybody, but how stupid can you be? Before anything was known, they're out there rioting. There's tape of them, of people in the streets talking about, is that person in that car white? Get them if they are. Just targeting white people. I'm going to tell you something. I have a white people in my family. I'm married to a white person. My kids are half white. You attack my car, we're going to have a misunderstanding. Okay, that is the most that's where we're at right now. We're going to attack people. We're sitting here talking about Black Lives Matter, and we're mad. Well, what about everybody else's lives? So we're going to take other people's lives and they didn't even, it's a black police officer in an altercation with a black assailant, and the black assailant is armed and pointing a weapon at the police officer, and now you're going to go riot and kill white people in the streets because somebody was committing a crime. Where's the logic in that? And nobody wants to talk about this. If our president had any honor and integrity, he would be on every major network and saying, this is wrong. This is not what Black Lives Matter should stand for. It should stand for rooting out, the bad things that are happening. But this is not one of them. And if you are breaking the law, you are targeting people unjustly, you are wrong. You are going to jail. But no, you know why? Because it doesn't serve his party politically. Doesn't serve Hillary Clinton politically to not publicize these black women who have unfortunately lost their sons. She's going to parade them around on TV. God knows how much money she gave them. It sickens me to see that. Now, maybe have some of their sons been unjustly, killed? Sure. But Michael Brown's mom wasn't.
No, absolutely.
So Hands Up, Don't Shoot was based on a lie, yet when that was found out, you didn't see the president come out and say, you know what, this was a mistake.
Jonathan Capehart, a black commentator on MSNBC, come out and said, I have to apologize because I jumped the gun and bought into this hands up, don't shoot narrative.
How fast did he lose his job? No, I'm just kidding.
And he had to come on and apologize that it never happened.
Yeah,
but there's people still out there painting that narrative.
But here's the thing, and I was joking when I say how fast did he lose his job, because the people who have come out have either lost their jobs or been shut up so fast, right? That it's not because it's. Think about that. And I want everybody, black, white, whatever you are right now, to set aside your emotions, set aside everything you've heard by the media, because the media is profiting from this as well, and think common sense wise, who's got the most to gain by our country being divided? Why would I want to look at you as a white brother in Christ and harm you? Who would want to put that narrative in my head?
All right, and we're going to take a break, and then we're going to talk about that when we come back, because that is very important. That's the conversation nobody's having. Why? Okay, you don't agree with Shad, okay? Then answer that question, why? Who benefits from this? Follow the money. I'm J. Michael McCoy. This is a live edition of Max World Live here on The Truth. Yep, named properly. The Truth.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer. I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs,
And I'm the service manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
All right, 3:38, 22 minutes before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News. And then Tom Coates and Tom Henderson. Tom Henderson is a guy I've known for years, a highly respected attorney, and he's the head of the Polk County Democrats. A very well-spoken, honest guy. And Tom and Frank and I and Chris and Tom, and we're all going to talk politics with Jesus in the middle. That's coming up. It's always that way. Tuesday afternoon, live here on The Truth.
We got Tom and Tom. Are we going to have Daryl and Daryl?
Maybe. You can text us at the Service Legends Truth text line, 515-809-0993. 515-809-0993. Or you can call in, and it's your voice we want to hear, at 515-244-0077. Do you have any texts you'd like to share with us?
Not any new ones at this time.
All right, so
there was a comment earlier, but it's way back about the truth is too expensive. Talking about media outlets and political folks, they don't want to tell the truth because it would cost them too much.
Yeah. All right. So pose your question again, Shad. By the way, if you just join us, we are talking about Black Lives Matter, and I thought who better to get on the radio and talk about Black lives than a black man. And Shad is a good friend of mine, good Christian man, professional. And you posed a great question before we went into the break.
So the question is, none of this makes any sense. When you look at what's going on in our country, the erosion of racial relations and everything that's happening. And this last incident in Milwaukee is just the latest, to where you've got people rioting in the streets before they even knew any facts. And the reason they're rioting in the streets is because of a false narrative that's been put in their head. That is, every time that there's an altercation with an officer and a black man, the officer is automatically in the wrong. So they've been fed this line that this situation in our country, that law enforcement is against black people as a whole, which is, it's not true. It's not even, are there people in law enforcement that abuse their power? Absolutely. And those people need to be rooted out. But that is not, I know I have a lot of friends in law enforcement. I've got retired law enforcement in my family that live in my neighborhood. They're all great, wonderful people. So here's the question. Who benefits from the division? Like, it's not about, because it makes no sense. It makes no sense for people to automatically just assume that we're in 2016, we have a black president, for crying. Who benefits from the division in our country?
Race is big business. And race can't go away as long as there's people who's stirring the race pot. So you have to, it's Democrats have to have a basic permanent underclass to have a voting base. And part of this underclass, sadly, is the black community because of their democratic policies that put that community in that situation.
I would say this, you're giving Democrats too much credit.
Okay.
I don't think they're that smart. They're smart. They use it. No, seriously. I'm just saying
agree.
There's something way more powerful than just the Democrat. I'm not going to go that road. There's something way more powerful behind it because it's your media, the way that they report things. How come nobody has heard a single news report besides maybe the one gentleman that you talked about the hands up, don't shoot movement being based on a lie and how Michael Brown actually attacked the police officer and it was self-defense? How about all the people, so-called witnesses that recanted their statements, said they lied, because they were, all that sort. That was never put out there on the level that the original hoopla was on.
Agreed.
Why not?
Because if it doesn't bleed, it doesn't lead. I mean, that's what we say in the journalism business. If it doesn't bleed, it doesn't lead.
Well, I've got some friends who would say that we are run by a corporate media.
That's true. That's part of it.
That feeds us the stories and the narratives they want us to see.
Right. So corporate media, who invests in corporations?
Politicians.
Well, who else? Can
you and I.
You and I. But also people from, can I invest in a foreign corporation?
No.
I can't. Can somebody from another country invest?
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Can I invest in a company that's British?
Well, I don't know. I think
can.
so. Yeah, British Petroleum or okay.
So in theory, somebody from Britain or wherever they're from can invest in a company here, right?
So
how much money from this is where I'm going with this. I mean, if these media outlets are being controlled by corporate money, now you follow the money to the corporations. I mean,
So if I'm tracking with you here, let's go back to the Civil War.
Exactly.
And you have
now you get it.
You have the North and the South fighting over slavery, and England is sympathetic to slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't they jump in on the side of the South? Because it was in their interest to watch the North and the South tear each other apart.
Exactly.
So that England could come back in and kick the crap out of
now you're going
the US.
down the road that's where I'm trying to lead you.
515-244-0077. That's the number you can call in on. Rick, you're live in Mac's World. How you doing today?
Doing well.
What's your thoughts?
I really appreciate hearing common sense and actually looking at the root of the problem instead of just emotions and feelings. So how do we truly solve what is going on? And you guys actually are taking a stand on it, and I just want to applaud you.
Well, thank you. Rick, it's really hard to sit here. Frank and Chris and I are all white, and it's really hard to sit here and tell my listeners what we think the solution is when you're white. Is that fair to say?
It's not fair to say, but it's accurate to say.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's right, but it's just the way it is because the way that everything's been portrayed in the media and the perception that's out there that if you're white and you have a voice of dissent, that you're racist. Like if you don't agree with President Obama, you must be racist. Well, what? That is the craziest thing that I've ever heard. You see what I'm saying? That's where we've gotten to as a society, that if you disagree with somebody and they're a different race, you must be racist. It's crazy.
Rick, go ahead. You've got the floor here.
No, I'm just saying it's like you're speaking the truth. You're truly speaking the truth. You're standing up biblically and speaking the truth and saying, if this is truly wrong, I don't care who, what, color, sex, how you put your pants on, whatever, it's still wrong. And that's the problem is everybody, no one can feel icky. No one can feel bad. I'm sorry that this is wrong. You lost. You don't get a medal because you showed up.
Well, to answer your question, my belief is how we fix this is, and I don't know if we can get to this point, there has to be people on both sides of the political aisle, all sides of the socio-economic spectrum. There has to be people from every bastion of society willing to sit down and deal with the truth. And that's not a plug for the show. I'm just saying.
I truly understand. I'm a business owner, and I've got a catering company, and we deal with all sorts of geopolitical and who and what in different areas. So I understand, and it's just trying to get to the point that you sit down and you really want to talk about it. And if you're truly a brother in Christ, and do I care about you, you really need to talk about it.
Right.
Okay. Rick, I appreciate you calling in, and you're always welcome. And by the way, tell folks the name of your catering business, because it's simply one of the best in Central Iowa. I've used it. I've had the food. It's spectacular.
It's Tasteful Dinners.
Tasteful Dinners. And Rick is a good Christian man, and he treats his customers just like Jesus would. So, Rick, thanks for calling in. I thought I recognized your voice, but when you said the catering thing, I knew it was you.
Yes. So we'll see you in church.
All right. See you in church. That's right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. We're coming up on our last break. And so when we come back, we're going to have 8 minutes. And I would like to sum up everything you've been sharing. Talk slow. Make sure that people who are just tuning in can hear what your heart is on this subject. And if you'll come back, I'm pretty sure you're going to come back. Any text on the Service Legends Truth text line? All right. Phone lines are open, 515-244-0077. Service Legends Truth text line, 809-0993. It's Mac's World Live right here every day, 3 to 5 p.m. on The Truth. 99.3 FM, powered by webcast1live.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids? Yeah!
If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common, everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
10 minutes before 4 o'clock, Salem Radio Network News, and then Tom Coates and Tom Henderson Not related. That's a joke. Tom Henderson is the head of the Polk County Democrats and has always been a fine, upstanding man despite his hobby. And he's going to come, and we're gonna hear a Democrat side of what's going on between Hillary, Trump, and some of the local races with Grassley and all of that. So that's what's coming up next. All right. For the last 50 minutes, I've had a gentleman in my studio, and you've been listening to him. His name is Shad, and he is Christian. He is professional, and he's black. And he really doesn't like this Black Lives Matter thing going on. And in case you missed the first part of the show, why don't you give him a 4 or 5 minute overview, especially what you saw at the Democratic National Convention? Right.
Well, basically, to sum it up, is there's I don't know where I heard this term before, a lot of recklessness cloaked in righteousness. This movement started at the beginning maybe with good intentions, but there's a lot of dishonesty, there's a lot of violence, there's a lot of things that are not honorable that are going on. And the problem is our leadership, nobody, and especially our leadership from the president on down, nobody's stepping up and taking a stand. Especially, like, for example, the situation in Milwaukee where people are rioting and targeting white people and things that nobody wants to take a stand and say, this is wrong. This is not part of the movement. Nobody's doing that. So that's a huge problem. At the Democratic National Convention, it was just horrible to see the mothers of the men who'd been killed paraded up there by Hillary Clinton and used as pawns, and especially the mother of Michael Brown, who was the most infuriating instance to me because he was proven to be guilty. It was proven that he attacked the police officer in Ferguson, that he, inside of the vehicle attacked the cop. The rounds went off in the car, powder burns and gunshot residue on his index finger and thumb. So the Attorney General's office found him. That situation, the officer was in the right in defending himself, but you never heard anything about that. You never heard anything about the witnesses that recanted their statements and said they lied. So what it leads you to believe is, well, somebody's profiting from misleading us.
Misinformation.
From misinformation. Somebody's profiting from the division, and so that's.
And who's profiting?
That's the $64,000 question.
Well, I'll give it to you for 25 cents. The news media. Big time advertising dollars, millions and millions and millions and millions and millions. When CNN goes live to Milwaukee County and there are riots going on and it's Black Lives Matter, you know how TV advertising works?
Yeah.
A lot of times what an advertiser will do is they'll commit to a position. And then based on what the rating, a time. So they're going to be on from 7 to 9 on CNN tonight. Mm-hmm. Then when the ratings come out, the overnight ratings or the weekly ratings come out, they will pay a percentage based on a calculation. So let's say they're going to pay $100,000 for every million people watching, and it goes to 6 million people. So now that spot is $600,000, where before, if it's just a regular night in Georgia, it's $400,000. So CNN and Fox, this is everybody, all right? The news agencies can actually bring in more revenue based on what they report. Now, this didn't happen until, 8, 9, 10 years ago when we had these immediate overnight exact ratings. Mm-hmm. So, one, the news media right there. If I could get on the radio every day and if I said, Jesus is my king, and I got $1,000, but I would say, Jesus is my king, and let me tell you why. And then I pandered on for the next hour, and I could make $5,000. What do you think I'm going to do?
You make $5,000.
They say it's the truth. I mean, it's really going on. It's not like they're going out there and creating the news. It's not Brian Williams, right, who, of course, was fired because he created a news. He said he was someplace in a helicopter that he wasn't.
Right.
That we don't do. I mean, that's just wrong. We can't create the news. We can't become the news in order to drive rates. That's the number one. Number two, the Democrats. The more chaos that's going on in this country. Who is chaos? Chaos is the accuser. He's the devil. God has nothing to do with chaos. If the devil can come in and create chaos amongst its people, there's no God in there. So the accuser wins. It's greed. its position against Jesus. And then the third people that win, as you said earlier, are the stock market. Stock market goes up when there's chaos, goes down when things are calm. Frank?
You mentioned George Soros and somebody who has made a living taking down economies, but you do realize that most of the people that were arrested, in particular in Ferguson, weren't from Ferguson.
Yeah, they're not from there.
Who is paying to bust these? Who's paying to bust these? Footing the bill to get these people in there? The anarchists to create the anarchy. Who's funding that?
Right. Those are all great questions, and my fear is not my fear. The challenge that causes the confusion is nobody's afraid, or everybody is afraid to ask those questions on a large stage. You see what I'm saying? We for better lack of term, we're insignificant. Okay, because we're small. But how come Fox, CNN, MSNBC, how come your president, your senators, your people running for president aren't having this discussion? If they truly care about this country. I pose this to Senator Clinton, to Mr. Trump. I pose it to our local elected officials, our local senators, Senator Grassley, everybody across each aisle. If you really care, why on a large stage are the true issues not being debated?
Because these aren't making money. If you have a bunch of black people in Chicago killed by other black people, that's not making, like Mac is saying, that's not making no money for the news media.
Right, which leads me to believe, which is the truth is they just don't care. If you really cared about those if Black Lives really mattered, then you would be handling the issues that are really facing black people. That's my point.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
You did a great job.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you did a great job. You're welcome here anytime. That seat's always open. Here's what I want you to think of for me, all right? The next time, I don't mean if there's violence in Milwaukee tonight. That's yesterday's story. Sooner or later, the news is going to stop covering that. But the next time we have one of these, will you try to make yourself available either via phone or in the studio so we can talk about what you're seeing there?
Sure.
All right?
Absolutely.
Kind of like they talk about TV stations will say, I've got eyes in the sky. I want to have you as my eyes into this Black Lives Matter thing.
Sure.
All right. Thank you very much for being here. Told you. I told you to put your britches on, didn't I? I told you to put your seatbelt on. This is not your grandmother's Christian talk radio show. Right? You know why we do this? Because we deserve this kind of conversation with Jesus in the middle of it. I've been on the other stations. You can't say Jesus. You get your hand slapped if you even say Lord. We need to have these conversations among people who honor and follow our Savior and Lord, Jesus Christ. And that's what we do in Mac's World. And I thank you for listening because I love this job and I couldn't do it without you. We're coming back live here on The Truth.